Are you a business looking for a fresh new way to reach potential customers? Well, you need to get airtime on IT TV, a 24/7 streaming and on-demand TV service online and on Roku. With Roku having a potential reach of 62 million people, it's a perfect opportunity to reach potential customers through affordable commercial and infomercial spots. Visit us online today at itnetwork.tv.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I, of course, am your host, Sharifah Hardie, and we have an incredible show for you today. We're going to learn, we're going to laugh, but you know what? You want to go ahead and share this show with your friends, with your network, because the information we share on today's show is something that can change lives. Maybe they're a new entrepreneur, a new business owner. They're just starting out, and they won't have this information unless you go ahead and share the show with them. And as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're sharing the show with your friends, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first guest, Miss Rita Kakati Shah. She's an award-winning gender diversity, inclusion, and career strategist, speaker, author, and advisor. She is founder and CEO of UMA, empowering confidence, success, and resilience in women and minorities. Good morning, Rita. How are you?
Hi, Sharifah. Hi, everyone. So nice to be here today. So yeah, I'm Rita, and it's a pleasure to be here. As you mentioned, Sharifah, I have my own company, UMA, which is really an empowerment platform for women and minorities to build up confidence, communication skills, and leadership for work in the future. And I have a book coming out actually called The Goddess of Go-Getting, which is all about my journey personally and at UMA as well. So be sure to grab a copy. It comes out hopefully launching on International Women's Day, 8th of March. So I'm really, really excited about that. And it's about that, giving and go-getting and that confidence journey. So hope you're excited as I am to read it.
I am definitely excited. We are going to come back to you, Rita, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Shalin Desai. Shalin is a director of numerous programs at the Art of Living Foundation and is an internationally sought after meditation instructor. He has been practicing and teaching meditation for over 20 years. With his unique blend of wit and wisdom, Shalin has successfully led, organized, and facilitated Art of Living workshops for people from remarkably diverse backgrounds. Good morning, Shalin. How are you?
Good morning, Sharif. I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for hosting this wonderful show. So I've been in Art of Living for about 25 years now, and I started at a very early age of 16. I started learning this breathing exercises and meditation and stuff. And as I started doing more and more, I kind of saw the value behind it, how it's really helping me, because neither at school nor at home we are taught how to manage our own mind, how to manage our own emotions. And with the help of these tools, you're able to much better do that. I was reading an article from CDC, Center for Disease Control, uh, just last year. And as per the article, more than one third of the American population is having symptoms of depression or anxiety. And that's huge, for a country like us, that's huge. So what if we had tools that help people deal with their mind, help deal with their emotions? And that's exactly what these breathing exercises do. And I feel it's a high time as a society, as a humanity, we prioritize those things. We take shower every day, that is bodily hygiene. We brush our teeth every day, that is dental hygiene. What if we had the same priority for our mental hygiene? And that's what the breathing exercises that we teach in Art of Living. You can check out on our website, artofliving.org, and find out more about that. Art of Living is one of the world's largest volunteer-based organization, which we teach these workshops in more than 155 countries around the globe. And I've personally been teaching these courses here in the United States, Mexico, Canada. The US, I've traveled and taught these workshops in 46 different states. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Charlene. We are going to come back to you, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. James Connor. He's a social entrepreneur helping nonprofits and startups from around the world, fractional CTO, and supporter of underrepresented founders. Good morning, James. How are you?
Morning, Sharifah. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show. It's a joy. I'm really excited to hear about the opinions and feedbacks from these other amazing people and guests that you have on the show today. As for me, my name is again James Connor. I'm a social entrepreneur. I've been helping nonprofits and startup founders, over the last 15 years with, usually some their tech needs and assistance and just helping them build out their platforms and audiences in the best way possible. There's just too many people that get taken advantage of these days that they don't have the resources that we all need to have for underrepresented founders. So I'm trying to close that gap a little bit, usually using like the buy one, give one model. But at the end of the day, we created a platform called Flexible Sites that allows us to connect with nonprofit and startup founders and provide help and assistance to see what their needs are. Not everybody is very tech savvy. So, that's where I come in, try to make things easier and at least help out as much as I can to get them to where they want to get to.
Absolutely. We are going to learn more, James. I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Miss Jamie Seeker. She's founded Seeker Solution to help entrepreneurs and business leaders learn, grow, and thrive. As one of the only full-service boutique business operations companies in the U.S. offering customizable, holistic business solutions, Seeker Solution provides strategic support and result-driven tools that enable business owners, managers, and C-levels to take their company to the next level. Good morning, Jamie. How are you? Okay, we got to get that for Jamie. There you go, Jamie.
Hi, good morning. How are you this morning? Thank you for having me. Yes, my company is called Seeker Solution. I had spent my career in corporate business and operations, and I was, living that hustle and bustle life. First one in, last one to leave. When you're running a department, it's kind of all hands on deck all the time, always on call. And I kind of got my start into small business when my career kind of shifted a bit and I was managing an OBGYN practice. And that's really where I grew my love for small businesses. And I realized that going from a corporate kind of big house there, that I was just a little cog in a really big wheel. And when I moved over into small business, I saw my efforts just immediately being impacting on the business. So that's really where I drew my passion and where I ended up starting Seeker Solution to help other small and medium-sized business owners get to where they want to get to and help in the operations capacity. So we have different solutions to fill in those gaps that are very common to small businesses that can hopefully help them to reach their goals.
I love it. Now, one of the things that I often talk about is the fact that, and you all know this to be true, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't select the dates the guest appears. The guest goes to the website, asksharifa.com, and they select their own date. But I always see a commonality between the guests on the show. And what I'm seeing today is 4 different people who had no idea any of you were going to be here and talk about what you're going to talk about. But in some form or fashion, your focus is around helping people. Does anyone else see that, or is it just me?
No, I noticed it too.
That's a very uncanny coincidence, Sharifah. I was just saying that's a very uncanny coincidence. Very cool.
I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything is meant to happen the way it's supposed to happen. So the 4 of you were meant to be here today, no one else, so we could talk about how we can help people. Did you notice that as well, James?
Yeah, I'm always curious about what other people are doing and then what perspective they're coming from, whether they're coming from a product perspective, service, are they just a seller, and what kind of personality they have. But everyone, the meditation, the author and Jamie, they all started off saying they were looking to help people. So
I think that's wonderful. I think that's what our focus has to be, helping people, making this world a better place. Now, I want to go back over to Rita for a minute. Hi, Rita. How are you?
Good, Sharifah. How are you?
I'm good. So, when you hear people like Shalyn and James and Jamie speak about helping people, what are your thoughts?
You know what? I love it. Just in the work I do as well. I mean, similar to Jamie, actually, when she mentioned she came from a corporate background, so did I. You know, I was in London, business background, did that for a decade. And I was in the hustle and bustle of it all. I started off on the trading floor, and I went from that and moved my career into the pharmaceutical industry, where I was in business development. It wasn't until I moved from that and I started my entrepreneurial career, which is what I do now. And I've been doing this for close to 6 years now, just been an entrepreneur, been in the business spectrum for almost 25 years now. And it's all about helping people, but you don't always realize it until you've been doing it for a while. And then I noticed, I've got 2 small kids myself now, and the messages I give them is very much what I do in my own business, which is about giving back. It's about, yes, you can still be a business, but it's all about giving back. What are you doing for your community? How are you helping and empowering others? You can be an absolutely for-profit business, but have other people's aims at heart. And so I love that. I love the thread that actually bonds us all together, because we're all doing that in different ways, whether it's in meditation, whether it's to our products, whether it's to helping other entrepreneurs as well. So totally see that commonality there, Sharifah.
Thank you. Jamie, what are your thoughts?
That makes me really excited, because I feel like the only reason I got to this point in my own business is because I had surrounded myself unknowingly, and really just kind of luck of the draw. But like you said, there's no coincidences. I was surrounded by very supportive people, and they happened to be business owners. I was in an operations seat, but it's kind of a lonely seat when you're sitting there, always the one that everyone goes to. I think it's really important to surround yourself with people who you can be a peer with and bounce obstacles off of and ideas and have that support. And so I was always a part of mastermind groups and other ways that I could lean on others that were just had an unbiased opinion, could give really great feedback for me. And it was because of that I feel like I had people in my corner to kind of support me and encourage me to go off on my own and start my own thing. And so I think when we're talking here about helping people and how did we all get here, it's really because, I mean, for me, I'd have to say it's because of the people that I had surrounding me and supporting me. And so I feel like I have so much more fulfillment, and I feel like my successes are just even that much more elevated when I'm able to help others realize their own purposes and their own goals and things like that. So that's just one of the things that when, as everyone was talking, that came top of mind to me.
Absolutely. Now, Shalyn, you mentioned that a lot of these people are feeling, we all know that a lot of people are feeling the emotions of a global pandemic. Now, we just happen to have 4 people who are saying, let's reach out, let's help others. What are some of what are some of the advice you would give to people who are feeling alone during this time frame?
I always tell people that, I used to fly a lot before pandemic. I was used to be in the planes quite a bit. And every time before the flight, like as soon as the plane is about to take off, the flight attendant would tell us that, buckle up tighten your seatbelt. And then he says that, in case of emergency, put your oxygen mask first and then take care of the person next to you. And I feel it's the same thing in life. We, as we all are so, as we take care of people around us, especially we all have gone through the last couple of years, as we work towards in taking care of others, I think it's very important for all of us to take care of ourselves first. And, we always say you cannot do charity from an empty bowl. And for us to take care of people, for us to, do whatever we want to do in our people in our lives, our friends, our family members, it's very important that we take care of ourselves. And I found I've noticed that about myself through my meditation practice, that when I'm happy, when I'm full of energy, I'm able to much more better take care of people around me. And it's incredible, we have this amazing guests today, who all are so focused on taking care of people around them. It's an absolute honor to be with them on this show here.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned not being able to pour from an empty cup, but how do you fill up your cup? What are some of the suggestions and recommendations you give to people so that they can fill up their own cup?
And that's, I'll just share a small incident. A few years ago, I was in New York City. I was teaching this breathing and meditation workshop, and I was teaching this at one of the Fortune 200 companies. And this one lady was in the course. She's a VP of that company. And on the last day, she came to me and she shared something very beautiful. Actually, she's like, last 6 months she had been through a very bitter divorce. It took a big toll on her, and she's like, to get out of that, she said, I booked a trip to Hawaii. She went to Hawaii for a week, and she was sharing that one day I was sitting on this beautiful beach on the island of Kauai, and beautiful sunset and everything. And she said, I could only enjoy that for 5 minutes. After that, my mind was again filled with the same thoughts of anger, anxiety, and anguish and all that. And she was sharing just by this 3-day workshop, the Art of Living workshop that she took. At the end of that workshop, she was feeling so calm and peaceful. And she was saying that one day when she was driving home, even though she was stuck in the traffic in New York City, it didn't bother her. She was in this calm, this peace. And as we all learn to tap into that inner source of joy through peace, through this breathing and meditation, we are naturally, our cup naturally gets filled. We don't have to make any efforts to do that. It naturally happens that way.
I love it. And when you're speaking, it just reminds me of the expression, wherever you are, there you are. Because I'm just trying to imagine how someone couldn't be happy and blissful sitting in Hawaii. I love Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii. It's like
Yes.
one of the most calming places in the world. I don't know how you couldn't just be happy in Hawaii. James, what do you do for self-care?
For me, it's a matter of just trying to unplug, right? So it's hard. I was telling someone before that one of my mentors suggested on Fridays don't schedule any meetings. Leave Friday for yourself to either strategize, take a look at what you've done during the week that worked, maybe get a head start on next week. Just taking time to just be creative and catch up with yourself on Friday. And then if you want to, make it a half day, you have that option. Now that you don't have any meetings, no one is looking for you. If there's something that you really need to get done, you can get it done that morning. And then also at the same time to just unplug, try to go a whole day, like a Saturday, without your phone, and just disconnect, because we are constantly being pulled in all these different directions. And in our lines of work, when you're trying to help so many other people, that can be strenuous, right? You're sharing or trying to solve problems with other people and organizations, and it does add to your stress. So at the end of the day, you need to take care of yourself, do something to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing, and to realize if you're not happy or if you need to make a change, check in with yourself on a weekly or monthly basis to say, okay, what did I not like what I did this week or this month, and how can you stop doing it, or how can you change it so that it can be something that's productive rather than something that's negative?
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good feedback here. There's some very applicable things that I tend to do with my clients. And a lot of times you have this idea of where you want to go or what you want to do, but what you're actually doing doesn't line up with that. So I feel like when you're trying to get to a place where you need to fill yourself or take care of yourself first, what you really need to do is focus on what am I actually doing and how am I taking those steps to get there. Because a lot of times you'll find that you either need to change what your vision is, what you think you want to do, or you need to change your actions. And I think a lot of times what I see is it's not even one way or the other. When we start actually setting goals with clients and saying, okay, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What are some things that you'd like to accomplish? And then we start mapping out ways to get there. Sometimes the action step is, well, I think I need to change my perspective. Maybe that's not my goal because I'm not willing to change what I'm doing. But a lot of times they realize, oh gosh, I didn't realize that by saying yes to these things, I'm saying no to my vision. I'm saying no to my goals. And so they actually have to change what they're doing. And I think as long as you can really just be open and honest with yourself and what you are doing, to what are you consuming, what are your actions, how are you living that out, that really does affect where you're going. And so I think it applies to your mental health and filling yourself. And are you doing things that you enjoy that fill you? You're talking about filling your cup. A lot of times we're not doing those things, but we don't realize it. We get so wrapped up into the day to day. And so it's just taking a step back and doing a quick inventory of, do my thoughts and my goals and where I want to go line up with what I'm actually doing with my time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rita, your thoughts? Rita?
So I would love just to echo what everyone else has said. One thing I would say just to add to that is that, and we're in the new year now, it's new goals, resolutions time. Too many people are scared of failure and have that fear. And I think that's one of the reasons that holds most of us back. The work I do is about confidence and communications. You can't get to that point of confidence and that self-belief unless you let go of what's inhibiting you from going there. So yes, you set your goals up, you line up what you're going to do, but then think about what sets you back. What's the worst thing that could happen? We spend a lot of time thinking of failure as being a negative word, a bad word. I would argue the opposite. I would say that if you don't fail, you don't actually understand and value what success is. If you're constantly always, your cup is full, you're getting this, you're having that, everything works out always really well and rosy, you actually don't know the other side of it. You don't know how to problem solve. You don't know how to get in that situation and do something different. So I would say treat things that haven't gone so well as actually being a blessing in disguise. Yes, it might close off one passage, but let's find that light that's in that tunnel that's going to open up to you. And that's a big, big part of what all of us can really value. And this is the best time to do it. It's a new year. It's time to take new risks, and let's not be scared of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita. James, what are your thoughts on what Rita had to say?
Yeah, it is a new year. I mean, it's always with the new year, we always want to have these ideas that we're going to change or improve, or it's going to be a new opportunity to do something better. Some people are going to find a way to do that, others not so much. It's just a matter of what we find as motivating factors, and if we have the right support system. So for leading back to what everybody was talking about, with being back to your preparing yourself mentally and those kind of things, you have to have a good support system in the right place. Whether you're with a partner that supports you and then picks you up when you're down, or that you have friends that you can reach out to and talk to. But we all need to improve on ourselves, and the best way is to be able to get an outside perspective, and that is where we go to our mentors and things of that nature. It's just a good thing to find people that believe in you, but also will tell you the truth and be honest with you. And if you can put that together and have those people, surround yourself with those people, that's going to get you a lot further than all the other things that you're thinking of, like tools and apps on your phone and things like that. Is just to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. And so that's one thing I definitely give advice to and suggest to other people.
What were your thoughts on what Rita had to say about failures?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, it's just like if every day is a nice sunny day, you're not, you're not going to appreciate it as much as if, say, for instance, I'm in Mexico. I haven't seen winter in probably about 4 years. So every day is high 80s, low 90s. I just move with the weather. But when I go to a cold place, so I was in Kentucky a while back, and it was maybe 60 degrees. I wasn't used to it, and I don't really have a coat or jacket or anything like that. But as soon as I got back to Mexico, guess what? I was so happy because it was back to regular temperature. So I agree. If you don't have, if you never deal with failure, you're never going to appreciate how successful it is. But also at the same time, you're going to think the opposite of other people. If you're always having success, your opinion about others are going to be like, well, why? What are you doing wrong? It's got to be you. It can't be something else. And it's just a matter of randomness sometimes, that we do have that stroke of luck. We're in the right place at the right time. So some people are going to have a long winning streak more than others. You want to cut down on your failures, but at the same time, failure is good because it's a chance to learn.
No, we were discussing that this ironically interestingly on, I think it was yesterday's show, when somebody said, it's luck. And then another person said, well, I don't believe in luck. And I had to agree. I think sometimes we use the word luck, but I think what I use is more, because other ladies like, it's God, and some people don't believe it. But I think what we're saying is sometimes it's something outside of our control that happens to us and helps us in that situation. Jamie, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, one of the things that stood out to me of what Rita said is to me, I saw it as perspective, right? Like she was saying, oh, well, you need to fail because of this, which I agree. But sometimes it's our perspective of what failure is when it wasn't actually a failure. You can look at any circumstance or any situation and we think, oh my gosh, that was terrible or something like that. But really, if we didn't go through that, it wouldn't lead us to where we are. And so it's something that might look and present itself as terrible might not actually be terrible. It might have been the best thing that could have happened to you. And so I think that's all part of it, is not looking at any given circumstance to say, oh, this was good or this was bad. It's how is this going to move us forward in the future? And that's kind of the message that I was getting from her, that I'm just completely, I really follow suit to that, is whatever is going on in our lives, our circumstances are going to change all the time. It's what are we going to do about what we're presented with? How are we going to respond to that? And if we know that we're always going to keep pushing forward and keep moving and it's going to end up positive, then it's not really going to matter what our circumstances are. And so, yeah, I think a lot of that is it also stems into releasing that control, of saying, I cannot control my circumstances. I can't control what happens to me, but I can control how I respond to it. And that's, kind of what you were saying about luck or being, beyond our control. That's a really big, I think, growth step for a lot of people, is releasing that control and understanding that there are things going to happen that we have no say over. And so what we do have a say over is how are we going to respond and what are we going to do about that?
Absolutely.
Can I add to that?
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, Jamie, I think you hit it right on the head, because just like in relationships, right? We may sometimes fail, and we feel like, okay, the relationship comes to an end and we feel like a failure, like we're not good enough. But then sometimes that we realize that relationship maybe wasn't the best thing for us, and then the person that we end up with next is like, wow, like, okay, this is so much better than what I was just in. So it may be a failure, but at the same time, we made out better for it.
Mm-hmm. Charlene, your thoughts? Charlene, you on mute, dear.
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yeah. Yes. So I agree with everything that everyone mentioned. It's great, some really great perspectives. The founder of Art of Living, Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, he sometimes jokingly tells us, he says that if you have a difficult boss at work, be grateful, because they bring out the best out of you. If it's just a smooth sailing, if you have someone who's always all the time supportive, and it may not bring the best out of you. But when you have difficult, sometimes when you have difficult, and just a different perspective, sometimes when you have difficult people in your life, they also bring the best out of you. Sometimes in two different ways. Sometimes they bring the best out of you because they drive you towards more, and sometimes just show you what not to do. Many ancient cultures, they say that, thank the bad person first before you thank the good person, because the bad person is showing you at their own cost what not to do. So it's, how you look at it, as Jamie was also mentioning, it's, you have no control over what happens around us. We might like to be in control, might like to be in charge, but that's usually not the case. We don't have control over what people around us do, how things happen. But how we deal with that situation, how we respond to that situation is absolutely for us to control. And I always tell people the difference between reaction and response is, in response, you think and you act. In reaction, you act and then you think, what did I just do? So what if we had this, tool or something where we don't react to a situation, we respond to a situation? It definitely bring much more happiness to our life, I believe.
And that's what we're focusing on, different ways we can bring much more happiness to our lives. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But right now, we do have to stop for a brief commercial break, and we will be right back.
You need jordansrooter.com. Get free estimates, 24-hour service, special discounts for seniors and veterans. That's jordansrooter.com. Have a home repair or some remodeling you need done? No problem. We can handle all that too. Give us a call today at 800-300-0358. At Jordan's Rooter, we take pride in our work and always make sure to get the job done right the first time. That's jordansrooter.com. We want to be your Mr. Fix-It.
Are you a business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, artist, musician, celebrity, or influencer interested in more exposure for your business? Schedule your one-on-one interview with Sharifah Hardie today. We handle everything for you. We video interview you, we professionally produce your interview, and we distribute your interview. We do the work so you can focus on putting your best foot forward. If you have been looking for more ways to get your product or service in front of more people, this is the opportunity for you. Schedule your one-on-one interview with Sharifah Hardie today.
Wow, we have been having such an interesting conversation this morning, talking about failures, talking about meditation, so much information. If you have missed any part of the show, I highly recommend that you catch the show from the top of the show in the archives. Now, I want to go back over to Rita right quick, not to give you all the questions, but everyone gave their thoughts and their feedback on what you had to say. Based on their response, did anything stand out to you?
What we just discussed right now, I think what stood out to me is your mindset and your attitude. You could be faced with failure, you could be faced with ups and downs, but it's how you approach the attitude. If you approach things with resentment because you don't want to be doing it yourself, nothing's going to happen. Ultimately, life just gives you things, that phrase, when you are given lemons, turn it into lemonade. So it's our attitude. If somebody gives you something and you're not happy with it, it's your attitude. I'll give you an example. One of my clients is actually based in rural India, and she was faced with an arranged marriage. It was actually a forced marriage, and she was with a family that, she was literally made to, her thing was like, I have to make 50 chapatis, these sort of round sort of bread, little kind of like things that you have on the side of your dinner, for my family every evening. And I said, okay, this is just one of many examples she gave me. I said, you've got two decisions. One, you're going to figure out a way and we can work together on this of leaving that situation, or you stay. And then she gave me a whole list of reasons. She goes, I'm going to stay in this situation. I said, okay, if you stay, you've got to stay with a good attitude. So she goes, okay, well, how do I do that? I said, from tomorrow, they ask you to make 50 chapatis, you make them 100. And she goes, whoa. So I said, make them smaller, you should roll out smaller dough balls, but make 100. She did that, and everything that came her way, she took it on as a challenge, and she gave more than what was expected of her. This example transformed her because she decided she wanted to do it, and then she enjoyed it. After that, she was done in less time, and she enjoyed it, and her family actually got to acknowledge and value her for who she was. So I'm giving you this example because it could be in work, it could be in anything in life that you dealt with these things. If you make that decision to go down one path, you have to do it with an open and a positive mindset. So I want to say on that note, because this is sort of an example of really pulling together what we've really discussed. Yes, you have these different challenges, but how we deal with it is key. You can fall down in a boxing ring. It's not about, you don't lose when you fall down, you lose when you refuse to get up. So that's really the crux of what I'm trying to say here.
Very interesting, Rita. James, your thoughts. Are you making balls or with the changing your perspective? Because I'm telling you, I can't even tell you, but I can tell you, I couldn't have made 100. I don't even make 100 for me, but that's just me. I'm gonna leave you alone. Rita was a wonderful example. James, I love to hear you.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think I would be looking to see, okay, how can I get help, or who can I get to make the 50?
Right.
So yeah, no, it's a great perspective. I mean, one of the comments you made was the boxing metaphor was a great one. We refuse to get up sometimes. Life is hard. I mean, the world is not for the faint of heart. I mean, those that don't strive for a whole bunch of goals, they're just going to find the easiest way out. But if you're looking to make the best out of your life and what your career and things of that nature, yeah, you're going to have to give more than is expected of you. Hopefully you're going to do that more at the beginning than later in life, because obviously when you're starting out, you don't have any reputation. People need to know from you. But also we have to realize life is cyclical. I tell that to a lot of people, like, when you start, secondary school, you're at the bottom, and then you go up and you become an upperclassman. Same thing with high school. Then you do the same thing with college. Then you do the same thing with your career. You go to a job, you start at one point, and then you got to work your way up and to gain more recognition. And it's constantly. I mean, even getting to a senior citizen home, there is a pecking order. I mean, if you don't know it, you need to talk to some of these elderly people and realize that, when they get to that stage of their life, they're learning. They're constantly still trying to figure things out. So life is cyclical. You have to find a way to, apply the lessons that you learned previously and try the ones that worked before and see if it works again. And at the same time, continue to grow. I mean, that's the main thing, is to always, I tell everybody that I mentor or advise, to continue to grow, try new things, but also try to find enjoyment in the things that you're doing. Because if you go through every day just resenting and not looking forward to doing something, your life is going to be miserable, and that's not how you should live.
No, we definitely don't want to live a miserable life. And I definitely resonated with what you had to say earlier, James. That's why I live in Southern California, because I always say one of the worst things about Southern California is that it's always 70 degrees. But one of the best things about Southern California is that it's always 70 degrees, So it's just being comfortable and enjoying life. I think that's the most important thing. Charlene, I'd love to hear from you.
No, I think that's what Rita brought up was actually, in a way, I think she gave an example, but it had a bigger message, is that, anytime you have any difficult situation in life, there are two ways you look at it. One is you look at it as a problem and keep, getting bogged down, or you take it up as an adventure. And one thing I'll share, many times as humans, our mind sometimes clings to that negative part in our lives. And sure, if I'm going to pick on you on this example, just giving a small example, let's say Sharifah goes to a party and all our friends are there, and 10 of her friends come give Sharifah 10 different compliments. You look gorgeous today. Your outfit looks great. I love your earrings. And one of her friends comes and says, Sharifah, you look great today, but your shoes don't exactly match your outfit. At night, when Sharifah walks out of the party, what is that one thing she'll definitely remember?
My shoes do not match my outfit.
Exactly. And that's how it is in a life. Many times in a life, it's 80% happiness, 20% unhappiness. But we kind of cling onto that 20% and make it 200%. So what if we just look, and I'm not talking here about look at positive, be positive. I'm not, I think there's only so much you can. What I'm saying is just looking at the life the way it is. There's so much in our lives to be grateful for. So much to be grateful for. The very fact we have food on our plate, we have a roof over our head. I mean, so much to be grateful for. And just by changing that attitude of, having an attitude of gratitude, I think a lot of things in our lives can actually change. Because, if we keep looking at lack in the life, that keeps growing. And sure, if in my opinion, if we just a small shift in our mind, looking at what we have in life, can bring so much more abundance in our life.
So basically, what I'm hearing you say, Charlene, is you don't like my shoes.
I've not seen them, Sharifah, but looking at your dressing sense and your earrings, I'm sure they're great. So
You're wrong. You're wrong because I'm barefoot. But hey, it doesn't matter. I enjoy me. I enjoy life. Jamie, I love to hear from you.
I'm kind of just taking it all in. I think, we have a group of people who have chosen life's work to help others. And just in listening to all of you, I feel just a sense of just calm. And I think what we're talking about here is mindset, taking control of things that you can take control of, letting go of what you can't control, and really just acceptance, right, of what really truly is, not focusing on one or the other. And, just like the shoe example, the one thing that one person said that wasn't even bad, it was just maybe even a commentary. How about we just take a step back and look at what reality is, because the reality of the situation is most likely very good. And so I'm just kind of sitting back and taking it in. And I feel just a firm affirmation for just the road that I'm walking. And really, I hope whoever's listening can kind of get the same thing, is just encouragement of, if you have a group of people who are looking to inspire others and help them become their best selves, and really kind of help people on these are the things that we're all saying. I think we've got something here. I think we're onto something, and that's just kind of what I've been taking in.
I think we've got something. I definitely think that we're on to something. But one of the things that I've noticed as a business consultant is that the givers may often also be the same people who have a problem or an issue or struggle with receiving. And I see that over and over and over again with nonprofit organizations. So often they just want to be happy. They want to save the world. They want to, prevent climate change. They want to stop human trafficking. They want to do all these different things, but then they struggle to find the resources they need because they aren't able to receive. Is it just me, James, or do you see that as well?
Well, it's not just a matter of receiving; it's a matter of asking. Quite a few of the nonprofits, they if someone gives them a $10,000 check, they'll take it. But it's the matter of they want to do all these things, and then they feel uncomfortable going to someone saying, "Hey, look, we did this thing. We working on this. This is our mission. This is the impact we made. Would you mind, donating to our cause?" Some people don't really put that together. Some organizations do it better than others. But at the end of the day, those that are struggling to increase their donations or receive the help that they need is because sometimes they just don't want to ask, or they don't know who to ask. So that's one of the reasons why we created flexible sites, so that people, nonprofits and startups that are looking for help, that have an idea, and they may be able to change their life, but they don't know where to go to get advice or to think about how to build whatever this idea is. They can just go to flexible sites and then ask and reach out to us, and then we'll take the time to talk to them. So it's a matter. So some people aren't comfortable with receiving. They don't. Like they may say, that's too much money, or that's hey, we really greatly appreciate what you're doing. We want you to be happy as well. But a majority of the time, it is just the fact that they don't ask.
Yes, but I think what I mean as far as receiving is that so often, this is what I've seen in the people that I've worked with, they feel that having a certain amount of money in their organization or in their business, it will put them in that corporate energy. And so many of us have ran kicking and screaming, I will never go back. I don't want to be corporate. I don't want to have that type of energy. So often we push the success away in our nonprofit, in our business, or we're unable to grow and limit ourselves because we don't want to be corporate.
Well, I have some thoughts on that. I mean, the first decade of my career was actually in a nonprofit, and we were a very large nonprofit. So we were very corporate minded. We had a corporate office. We were, kind of everywhere. But I will say that it starts internally. I look back now, I didn't know it at the time, At the time I was starting my career, I was passionate. I was all about the mission. I had a skill set that I was putting to use, and I was very driven. And so I didn't realize how unbalanced my own life was. I didn't realize, that, hey, I was actually having children at the time. I was at that point in my life, in my personal life, and I was a working mother. And so I had all this stuff to prove at work that I could do this. I can go and be on maternity leave, and I can come back swinging, and I won't miss a beat. But also it was during a recession, and we were getting layoffs left and right. We were taking on more and more, but it's this mentality of I'm so driven and I'm so capable and I can do this. So I think James was really onto something. Is we really weren't, it wasn't about necessarily receiving money, but it was the help. I don't need the help. For whatever reason in my own personal life in that particular time, everything was pointing to, well, if you ask for help, it is a weakness. And I think that we can say that now. We're in such a different time, especially after the pandemic. I think we're really realizing, we're having things stripped away, what's important to us and what we want to do and how we want to spend our time. But back then, at that point in my life, I was really out to prove that I could do everything. And I think that had a unique effect because I was also in a nonprofit organization where we had to do more with less. And if you weren't, then you were expendable, and people were getting laid off left and right. And so I wasn't going to be that weak link. And so I think it really starts with, what is your internal culture at your nonprofit, and how are you supporting yourself and your employees and people around you? And that was just my own experience. But I think just having been around that for a while, and James, you may be able to kind of comment on this too, I do see a common theme in nonprofits. It's really crazy. It's a unique place to work and be, but it was probably the most unhealthy I've ever been in my life when it comes to, mental, emotional balance. It really wasn't balanced at all. It was very tilted toward the workplace and putting my blood, sweat, and tears quite literally into that work.
Mm-hmm. James, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is so like I talk to other people and other developers and people that have my technical background. As a fractional CTO, I choose to work with a lot of nonprofits and startups. But at the end of the day, there's some fractional CTOs that make 3 times as much money because they're working with enterprise businesses, they're working with consultants. The money is there. So in the cases of nonprofit, the industry itself, there's a lot of people that struggle. They want to do good. They want to help, change a community or make a positive impact. And, they're willing to do it for less money, just to and we tell ourselves, hey, look, I'm helping change the world. I'm doing something good. So, I can do it for less and deal with the struggle. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of identifying to say, hey, look, we still need to be kind to ourselves. And nonprofits the organizations themselves have issues. Sometimes they want to show themselves as a big professional organization, but they really need help with, minor donations, like small donations of $10 a month from 50 people would make a huge difference for those organizations. How they reach those people, they may not know, but it is a problem because there's a lot of nonprofit people that work in the industry for a number of years, and they just get burned out. They get burned out because they can get a higher salary doing less work at a corporate job, and that option right there, that tends to win out over time.
Yes. Not only the higher salary, but when you're trying to help other people and you're unable to pay the rent or the mortgage or these kind of things, put food on the table, but yet you're saving the world. Charlene, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So I agree what James and Jamie are sharing. Actually, they're really good points. My experience has been that when you're committed to something bigger than yourself, something which is committed to the greater cause, my experience has been that, resources come. They've always come. I found that the universe bends over backwards to support you. That's what my experience has been. And again, what James and Jamie both brought up, we have to be smart at it. There's nothing wrong in asking for help. There's nothing as wrong in, because as I mentioned earlier, also, you cannot do charity from an empty bowl. So we have to have something with us to be able to serve and to do something. So right there with them on that, at the same time, having that confidence and having that belief. And I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it. I've seen it over a period of so many years that, I mean, I've seen that resources do come. They do come, and you just have to believe in that. You just have to be patient, and you just have to not give up easily.
Wow. I almost wonder if I felt like you got to believe in magic. Like all of a sudden, that's like the song I just started to hear when you were speaking. It's a certain energy. I love it. Thank you, Shailene. Rita, I love to hear from you.
So a couple of thoughts really on that. So from my perspective, we do a lot of strategy on strategy and communications when you go in. So we actually deal with corporate clients, but we also deal with quite a few governmental organizations and nonprofits as well. And the first and foremost thing that we see a lot is lack of structure, lack of strategy. And I'm going to give you an example. You win the lottery, but you don't have any financial planning background or anything, you can blow it in a week. So it's things like that. If you don't know what the structure and the strategy is, it doesn't matter how much cash you have, how much donations you have, how much goodwill and passion you have from all of the amazing hardworking employees. If you don't have a strategy, you don't have any structure in place, that's not the way forward. So a lot of it is just coming back, thinking, okay, what is your mission? What is your vision? What are some procedures that are set in place to help make this happen, to maintain your budget? So you don't kind of blow so much cash. Because a lot of companies, even for-profit companies, 80% of startups in Silicon Valley go bust because they run out of money. So it doesn't matter how much funding they have, how much that, if you don't have that strategy, that isn't going to happen. The second thing is about who's listening and being on the right radar of the right people. So we've come over the first stage. So we've got the strategy, we have our financial planning, we have our treasurer, we have a budgetary plan in place. We know what we're doing. How are we going to get right to the right people? There are funds out there. There are resources. There are so many philanthropists and foundations out there. We know it. You can just Google and you see so many different sort of foundations willing to give to the right cause. But how are you getting to them? Are they hearing you? Do they know about the work you do? So it's about whose radar are you on? Yes, you can ask, but are you asking the right people? Do you know how to ask? What is your pitch looking like? Whether it's a for-profit, whether it's non-for-profit, you still have to put together some sort of a pitch deck. You have to put together why your charity or why your endeavor to help people and not somebody else's. Why is your venture going to make more of an impact on people's lives than somebody else's? So the whole thing is about strategy. It's about how do you communicate that in a way that comes across to the right people as well. So just wanted to add my 2 cents in there.
Well, we appreciate your 2 cents because I definitely agree. I definitely hear you. This has been an amazing conversation. I could talk about fundraising for hours. I can tell you that right now. But we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Jamie.
Oh, great. Well, I would just say if you are a small, medium-sized business owner, you're the one kind of operating your entire business and you've gotten to the point where you realize, hey, I can't do this alone anymore. That's really what Seeker Solution is here for. You can check us out on our website, seekersolution.com. Check us out on Instagram @Seeker Solution. And it talks a little bit about the common things that businesses face, whether it's financial, whether it's human resources, whether it's strategy, like we were talking about, or social media management, anything like that you find you kind of get into a niche, but it's not really your cup of tea. Give us a call. We are really here for getting in between that next step for you to kind of fill in that gap where you're missing, and you don't have to do it alone. We talked about having the right people supporting you. We talked about having that accountability partner, whether it's personal or professional. If you're looking for that in your business, reach out. We're actually giving away a free breakthrough call. It's a 1-hour session with us where we just kind of talk and do a quick assessment on what's going on in your business and potentially have you walk away with some recommendations and some action steps onto how to address that.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you. James, what do you have for the people?
Well, Jamie, I appreciate you sharing that. I might actually take a look and reach out to you myself. For me, it's been a pleasure talking with everyone, getting different opinions. I think it's been a joy today. I look forward to, if there's anyone out there that is just needing help with technical needs, ideas that they have, but also there's businesses out there that there's, someone goes out on their own. They're a marketing person, they're a graphic designer or something like that. And they have clients that want a one-stop shop, reach out to us. We have, we collaborate with marketing agencies that want to provide web development or mobile development, but they don't want to have an in-house staff or hire consultants and freelance developers. So they come in and they partner with us, and we treat them well. So it's just a matter of if you have a need in regards to technical assistance or advice on nonprofits or startups, reach out. You can reach out to me and James Conner on LinkedIn, and at the same time you can go to flexiblesites.com, learn more about how we can help, and then it's pretty cheap. I mean, you get a custom site for less than $1,000. So.
Thank you, James. Definitely appreciate you. Shalyn, what do you have for the people?
So first of all, I want to thank Sharifah for creating this platform where we all could come together and share our thoughts. And also wanted to thank my fellow speakers here. And absolutely such a joy to be able to connect with you here through this platform. And so much to learn and so much to grasp from what all we discussed. So I'll just say to the audience that, self-care is way more important. It's way more important than you think it is. And it's high time we all prioritize this thing. What if we woke up every morning and the mind was calm and peaceful? What if you get a good night's sleep the entire night? What if you got up and you look forward to everything that you do in your life, and when things don't go your way, you don't get shaken very easily? And those are the tools we all need, how to keep the mind pleasant and happy. And it's not a luxury anymore. This day and age, breathing, meditation is not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. So check out our website, artofliving.org, and you'll have a bunch of programs. We have every day we offer this 1 hour, 15 minutes free sessions where you can come and try out the meditation. So welcome to come and join that. And just end it on a note that Sharifah mentioned about towards the end of our discussion, we talked about fundraising. I believe it's also important to do some fundraising. It's very important to have fun in life, and that's what it is. Life is fun, and experience that. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, Shalyn. I like fundraising as well. Miss Rita, what do you have for the people?
I love it. And I love that note of ending on fundraising as well, the fun part as well. Well, Sharifah, I wanted to thank you again for having us all here today. It's been such a pleasure. What I have for the people is believe in yourself. Remember that inner confidence, that inner goddess of go-getting. You already have that inside all of you. It's about that perception, how you believe in yourself, thinking outside the box, thinking differently when you go forth in that sense. So if you want some help, whether it's on career strategy, on corporate strategy, gaining that inner voice, finding that conviction, your voice, that confidence inside of you, working on your communications and negotiation skills, feel free to reach out. My company's email address, website is beboldbeuma.com. That's BEBOLD, All of our hashtags on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube is at beboldbeuma. You can also reach out personally to me as well. I'm also on LinkedIn, so Rita Kakati Shah. And thank you again, Sharifah, and I look forward to hearing from everyone.
Absolutely. want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives. I definitely appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you sharing. But the most important thing to me is that you support our guests. Our guests were here this morning to support you, to give you their advice, their strategies, their fun raising information. So please support them. Visit their websites, follow them on social media, reach out to them, pick up some books or sessions with them. And when you speak to them, please let them know Sharifah Hardie says hi. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at AskSharifah.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe